You had one job, just one. What's up everyone, welcome back, hope you're all doing well. This episode is going to be on what happened to me after I came back from my first hospital stay. And before I get to the video, if you guys can subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, that'll really help me out, thank you. The first few weeks were pretty rough. I was still trying to adjust to my new normal and my appetite was still pretty bad. I think the first thing I had when I got back was either fool or a chicken shaw on my plate, I can't really remember. But my appetite was still pretty bad. I couldn't really finish anything, and actually my appetite didn't come back to normal until about 1.5 years ago, so it took a really long time. For the first few nights, a part of me actually wanted to be back in the hospital, and don't get me wrong, I was really happy to be back home, back in my own bed with my family, but not in the bed with my family, like in the house with my family. But this was all new to me, new to my family. We had never dealt with anything like this before, and there was always a thought in the back of my mind that something's going to happen, and if something did happen, I'd rather be in the hospital bed when I can just call the nurse with the push of a button, and if need be, they can call the doctor. But I trusted my doctor, and I knew that she wouldn't send me home unless it was safe and unless I was in stable condition, so that kind of got easier as time went by. For the first week, I had a lot of trouble sleeping. I was so restless that I couldn't sit still for more than a few seconds at a time, and I wasn't able to fall asleep until 5 in the morning. I don't remember if it was from stress or pain or anxiety, but I kept getting these weird twitches and spasms on my leg and my arm. The best way that I can describe it is kind of like that feeling you get when you have to sneeze and you can't stop the sneeze and you don't feel better until you sneeze. It was like that, but just with twitches and spasms in my arms and my legs. One thing that I didn't realize until I got back home was how deconditioned I had become. When I was in the hospital and I would walk around, it was usually just in my room or outside in the hallway. The first time I tried going upstairs, I think I made it like halfway up if I was completely out of breath. And I don't care who you are, you can be the Rock, you can be the strongest man in the world, you can be in the best shape of your life. If you spend just a few days in bed, you'll be so deconditioned to the point that you won't be able to do anything normally anymore. Most of the medications and chemo you get during treatment will ruin your chances of having a kid. And while it's a really good form of birth control, later on when you want to have a kid, kind of sucks. So what a lot of patients will do is before they start treatment, they'll go to a cryobank to have their eggs and their sperm frozen, so that when they're done with treatment and they want to, they can fall back on that option. I didn't get that chance. My cancer was so aggressive that my doctor needed to start chemo right away. It was basically an emergency procedure just to save my life. And now that I was back home and in stable condition, I was gonna go to get this checked out. For you guys to get the full picture of what happened, I kind of have to set this up. This was the first weekend since coming back home. The place that I was gonna go to was about an hour away from my house. I already hadn't slept that entire week before, and my appointment was really early in the morning, so I had to get up even earlier just to make it. I hadn't gotten any sleep. I was basically like a toddler who hadn't had his nap time. I was pretty cranky. At this point, I still couldn't drive, so my dad was going to be the one to take me. As we're getting ready to leave, my mom and my sister decided that they're going to come with me. I'm going to go to make a deposit in a cup.
He did what in his cup?
Why the fuck are you guys coming with me? My sister's like, oh, you know, I love everything to do with fertility, and you know how this interests me a lot. I want to be a fertility specialist later on. I'm like, yeah, but this, no, not happening. And my mom's like, I'm going to come for moral support. Are you fucking kidding me? So we get in the car, and as we're driving, I'm just focused on the Navi. I'm counting down the miles, counting down the minutes until we get there so I can do my thing, and then we can move on with our lives. As we're going, my dad's completely ignoring the Navi. It's telling him to go straight, he's going left, it's telling him to stay on the freeway, he's exiting. At this point, I'm just losing my mind. Like, I'm beyond irritated with everything that's already happened, and I just can't wait to finish everything. And then, actually, I think it's better if I just show you guys.
Turn left, then turn right. Turn left.
I'll just follow this one. It's telling me to make a left.
I don't want to twist with the end.
That's what it's telling you to do.
In 600 feet, turn right. In 400 feet. Turn right, then turn left. Turn right.
media?
No. Brandon, no.
So you're media, Brandon.
Okay.
Okay, I just park over here someplace and wait here until Brandon comes out.
Okay, I'll go.
Thank you. No.
Uh-huh.
I'm so confused right now.
Uh-huh.
Where am I gonna?
You're meeting Steven Gerrard.
What do you have to say? Huh? Surprise!
And that's how I met Steven Gerrard. So for those of you who don't know, Steven Gerrard was one of the best Liverpool players of all time. Definitely the best during my lifetime.
Official has indicated.
That's Risa, tossed it towards Morientes. And then Gerrard! Oh! Oh, goodness me! What a strike!
Mellor, lovely cushioned header. But Gerrard! Oh, you beauty! What a head, son! What a head!
I've been a hardcore Liverpool fan my entire life, so being able to meet him was pretty insane. We got to sit in on one of their training sessions, and I still remember when we were walking in, me and my dad both had on our Liverpool jerseys, and the coach had that look on his face when he saw us. He's like, who are these morons walking into a Galaxy session with Liverpool jerseys on? But I'm like, I don't care. I'm meeting Steven Gerrard. I'm going to wear my jersey. So we sat down. I think we watched him for like a half hour, 45 minutes, something like that. This was in 2015, and he was years off of his prime, but the guy was still hitting like 30, 40-yard crossfield passes. It was just incredible to watch. After the training session, he came over, we took pictures, he signed some of my jerseys. Actually, one of my jerseys I had as a kid was the first one that he wore professionally, so he kind of got a kick out of that too. And then after we finished up, the guy who coordinated everything was gonna give us tickets to the game later that night. But at the time, I still wasn't in any condition to be out, especially in a stadium with a lot of other people, so we didn't really get to go. And then on the way back home, everybody told me in the car how hard it was for them not to be laughing their asses off while I was just going crazy in the front waiting to go to the bank. And yeah, we went back home, and then the next week I went to the sperm bank for real, this time without an audience. At this point, we knew that I needed the stem cell transplant. We just didn't know who the donor was going to be. So in a situation like this, the ideal candidate would be a sibling. In this case, it was going to be my sister. And now we had to go see if she was going to be a good match or not. The way they check if you're a good match is through something called HLA typing, and it's a little bit more complicated than just a regular blood test. Your cells have something called HLA markers on them, and that's how your immune system knows which cells are yours and which aren't. For someone to be a good match, they want to match up as many markers as they can. The more the better, because the more similar you are to each other, the less chance of complications there are after the transplant. We walked over to the lab for them to do the blood draw, and I went first, sat down, they drew it, no problems. And then my sister sat down, and it was her turn for them to draw her blood. Now we find this hilarious now, and we laugh at it all the time. She fainted twice. First time was when she was on the chair and they were drawing her blood. After she fainted, they kind of like leveled the chair just so it was kind of like a bed for her to relax and wake back up. After that, she woke up and she kept saying she was fine, she was fine. We even got her some apple juice from the cafeteria just to kind of raise her sugar a little bit. She kept saying she was fine, and then she fainted again in the hallway. And we find it hilarious now, but at the time it wasn't funny at all. I mean, it's not even the fact that she's afraid of needles or she's scared of shots. It's just the pressure of the situation and what those blood tests actually ended up meaning for me down the line. We didn't know what was going to happen at the time, so it was pretty bad for her. After the blood test, we waited about 2 weeks for the results to come out, and it showed that my sister was not a match. You had one job, just one. That's it. So now we started the process of trying to find a match from anywhere in the world. And I wasn't too worried about finding it because from the beginning, my doctor told me that even if we couldn't find a match, then we would be able to use my dad's stem cells. You get half of your markers from your mom, you get half of them from your dad. For some reason, I don't really know why. If they are gonna do a half match, they don't use the one from your mom. I guess something to do with the fact that she was pregnant with me for 9 months, I don't know. But they were gonna go with my dad's. Now that we knew that my sister wasn't going to be my donor, we started working with Be The Match, and they helped us set up drives to find potential donor. Actually, they didn't help us, they helped my sister. She's the one that did everything, I didn't do shit. They were able to set up about 3 official drives, and we got over 1,200 people to come swap for me and to join the registry. Even though none of them were a match for me, I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart that there were that many people who came out for me. I don't even know 1,200 people throughout my entire life, and the fact that you guys came out for me, it means the world to me. I can't thank you guys enough. While they were looking for my match and setting up all the drives, I went back home for another few weeks just to rest and recover. And then I think after about 3 or 4 weeks since I got back home, I went back to the hospital for my second round of chemo.